Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 21. We can now legally drink in the United States, the Game Groofs podcast, the all-encompassing weekly gaming podcast from us, the Goodnight Groofs. My name is Matt. Today, I'm joined by Mike, Josh, and Paul. Welcome back, Josh. We're glad to have you back. But don't say anything yet, because I'm about to ask you guys about your peaks of the week. Instead of asking you guys how you're doing this week, I'm going to ask everyone what their peak of the week has been. So, Josh, we'll go to you first. What's the best thing that happened to you this week, sir?
It's easy, baby. It's easy. Halo Infinite came out. It's incredible. I love it. It's Halo again.
Yeah.
So let's not look back to episode 19 of the Game Groofs where I trashed it and cast your trash. We'll dive into that a little later. But yeah, Halo Infinite. It's been pretty great.
You were so confident, Josh.
Yeah.
You were so confident, and we were all kind of like, "Are you sure Battlefield over Halo?" I just want to rub it in for those.
No. I am a fucking moron. Let the record state.
Speaking of rubbing it in, Paul, what was the peak of your week?
What on earth does that mean? Well, I was hoping you would just, so I put some ointment on it, and that was how you rub it in.
I was hoping you'd just take it from there.
Yeah, I thought, hoping you'd make a funny joke out of that. Yeah. Well, I didn't, so joke's on me, I guess. All right, my peak of the week, a couple things here. So I kind of went through the holidays here. It's a little late, but on Saturday I did go to a birthday party for a friend, and it was supposed to be creepy themed. So it was basically
fuck Halloween. Off with that.
Halloween a couple weeks ago. Well, she's very witchy.
Okay.
And very
all right.
She's very into Wiccan, witchy stuff, and there's dark things and tarot cards and ravens. So anyway, it was kind of it wasn't necessarily Halloween, and we weren't wearing Halloween costumes or anything, but we were all kind of dressed a little dark. I wore a kind of I don't know, I tried to be vampiric a little bit. It's hard to explain.
Did you wear eyeliner?
And I didn't, Rachel wanted to put it on me. I don't mind the look. The look's fine, but I'm too squeamish about my eyes. So I don't like the pencil, but I don't really care. I wear eyeliner, of course. But yeah, and then also today, just 2 days ago, it snowed for the first time in Canada, which was, or at least not in Canada, but where I am, it snowed for the first time. And it was really, really awesome to see it. A little bit late this year, but it was pretty on time. And also, I put up my Christmas lights today, which was awesome. Wow. So I'm kind of going through it all. I went through a little bit of Halloween, and then it snowed, and now I've got the Christmas lights up. And we did a bang-up job. I couldn't get a big enough ladder, so I had to take a branch cutter and loop the lights on them and kind of huck it up to my roof. But I did it, and nice. It looks beautiful.
We're hoping to do the Christmas stuff this weekend. Mike, speaking of hucking it up to the roof, what was the peak of your week?
Doesn't make any sense.
These are good segues. These are quality segues.
These are really good. Keep these up forever.
Well, last week it was my peak of the week was Josh wasn't here, so I guess this week my peak of the week is Josh is back.
Oh,
what a roller coaster!
A fair weather fan.
Yeah, that's a lot of things.
All right.
No, that's not my peak.
Oh, okay.
Probably I bought a new car, so I have a car.
Yeah.
So that's
congratulations.
That is a peak of the week. Very nice. Very nice. Obviously, I feel like the process of the purchase is the absolute value of the week, but actually, when it's all over with, getting the car is the peak.
Yeah, pretty much.
For me, my peak of the week was the debut of Southern Fried Groofs, which by the time this episode is public, we'll have 3 episodes up. Saturday and Tuesday releases on our YouTube channel. Check it out. Southern Fried Groofs with Josh and Fave. Mike is the editor and the producer of the show. It's a comedic let's play series. Right now they're playing For the King. It's awesome stuff. I highly recommend you checking it out. It's probably the funniest content that we have to offer right now.
Speaking of the funniest content we have to offer right now, Matt, are we ready to move into the next game? I'm trying to give you a segue, but it turns out it was a good segue.
Yes,
so it's not. Yes. I was trying to give you a bad one.
Well, I appreciate it, Paul. Let's move into Trending Topics 50 States Edition. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Paul, get nervous about this one.
I'm kidding.
Paul, could you name the 50 states if given the opportunity?
I couldn't name all 50 for sure. I've done this before. I've gotten to the early 40s and stuff, but it's not that I don't know them all, but it's hard to remember. I think most people, not most, but a lot of US people I think would have issues naming all 50 in one sitting without looking.
Probably. All right.
Hard to remember 50 names.
So in Trending Topics 50 States Edition, I give our panelists a game title in 3 US states. They have to tell me which state registered the largest relative percentage of searches for that game over the last 7 days via stats from Google Trends.
What the fuck?
We're going to play 3 quick rounds. All right, so the first game is
Christian game 2021, Texas.
Alabama.
Yeah.
The first game is Saints Row. And the states are as follows: West Virginia, Kentucky, or Mississippi.
Jesus.
Oh, you didn't go easy
Christ.
on that. I was waiting for a Michigan or something. What the hell?
I'm giving it to Kentucky.
I guess I'll say, what was the first one again? West Virginia, Mississippi, and Kentucky. Okay. I'm gonna say MISSISSIPPI.
You studied in your
I'll go
spelling.
Kentucky.
Mississippi. Mississippi.
Oh yeah.
Why?
God, I've always hated that fucking
Why
state
is
for a
any of
reason.
this? This is not. These aren't clear. Matt, if you looked at if there was a particular reason, it's too confusing.
Well, maybe.
All right.
I can tell you in these games there is no
What is it?
particular reason.
No.
All right, the next game, League of Legends. I will say, for all of these, the 3 that I pick were the top 3 states. You just have to pick the top one.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Wait. Sorry.
Mississippi
Mississippi looked up Grand Theft Auto,
Saints Row.
Saints Row more than any other state in the United States.
But it's relative to.
It's per capita,
Yeah,
right?
Oh, it's okay.
That is interesting.
That makes sense.
Still.
Okay.
Wow.
Biloxi was getting lit.
Interesting.
All right, League of Legends. Utah, Washington, or California?
California.
Washington.
What's
The nerds up there.
Washington, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like Washington is a nerdy ass state.
Yo, awesome.
Yep.
Last game, Battlefield 2042. The states are North Dakota, Wyoming, and Alaska.
Are the top
God.
3?
I'm
Those are
going
the top
Alaska
3.
because, why the hell not? They're the only ones who aren't going to be underwater by 2042, so we'll be. They're laughing all the way to the bank.
I don't fucking know. Gee, this is a hard one. Fuck it. Take me home, Wyoming.
What were the options?
Wyoming, Alaska, and North Dakota.
North Dakota. Oh my god. Big Battlefield fans up in North Dakota. Sure.
I bet.
The answer, Paul's friendly with them. It's Alaska.
Hey, there we go.
There's nothing else to do. You may as well play a
There's
shitty
nothing
shooter.
else to do. Play Battlefield.
All
And
right.
again, they're looking forward to surviving.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's move on to the big question. I think this is a really interesting one today. I'm excited for this conversation. It's no secret that live service games, or games as a service, have been growing in popularity amongst developers and publishers. The many players balk at these sorts of games. It's undeniably been growing in popularity amongst them as well. Otherwise, publishers would be going in a different direction. Like anything, sometimes it's done well and sometimes it's not. Path of Exile, Rainbow Six Siege, Warframe, The Division, Fortnite, and The Elder Scrolls Online are some live service games that most would agree are done pretty well. On the other end of the spectrum, you have games like Fallout 76, Destiny 2, and Marvel's Avengers that most would point to as lackluster, greedy cash grabs, or both. Destiny 2 has really sort of joined the latter category as of late. Now, going forward, Ubisoft has said that Assassin's Creed will be going the live service route with Assassin's Creed Infinity, and it's rumored that Far Cry 7 will follow the same path. Other recent rumors point to Grand Theft Auto 6 being a fully live service game with a changing map akin to Fortnite. Even Halo Infinite, whose multiplayer shadow dropped earlier this week, would be considered a live service game fully furnished with a largely consumer-friendly Battle Pass system. So, here's the question. Are live service games here to stay for a while? And what do you think makes a good live service game versus a bad one? let's go to Mike first. I think Mike's going to have some good thoughts on this one. Mike, are live service games here to stay for a while? And what do you think makes a good one versus a bad one?
Yeah, no, I would agree that they're here to stay for a while. I think every product is becoming a service, so why not games? As far as what makes a good one versus a bad one, this is going to be kind of a cheap answer, no pun intended, but most of the common thread on good live service games is that they're free. Because it seems like if the game's free, then the company and the devs know that you have to continually put in content that the players want to keep your player base around. Whereas if it's, like Marvel's Avengers, you pay $60 and then pay for DLC that comes out later, or it comes out as free DLC, what have you. You still they get their money up front. The cosmetics and microtransactions come later, but at the end of the day, they get their money up front. I hate the answer of free because it makes me seem like I'm saying just go play the free ones, because then it's destined to be good, because it's not. I'm sure there are tons of bad free live service games, but from a confidence in the developer standpoint, I feel like if the game is free, then I feel more comfortable that the devs are going to actually care about the game than if the game is not.
So I agree with you. I'm going to jump in here because I agree with what you're saying. I think they're here to stay. Here's the thing. Game development time and costs have skyrocketed. And publishers, they can't ask people for $100 base fee for a game. Like, that's not something that they can do. So instead, live service allows them alternate methods of making money, sometimes good and sometimes fair, and sometimes, as we've obviously seen, it's not. Now, number one, live service games need to have consistent and frequent drips of content. If there's no content, there's no point in playing them. It's a waste of, especially if there's a box price to it and you're not getting anything more out of it, then I think, yeah, it's a waste of money. And it's not fair to the consumer, especially because when you're buying it, it's being billed as an unfinished game. Like, you know that going in, but you're also expecting that there's going to be more, right? Unless they're just some shitty publisher that just doesn't ever give you any more. Now, I'm not saying that content needs to be balanced for someone who plays 50 hours a week. That's always been a pet peeve of mine, is where someone plays something like a crazy amount in the first week that it's out, and they're like, well, this game's dead. There's no more content. It's like, well, you played all of it. Like, most people haven't done that. You just happened to play all of it. So that's a pet peeve of mine. But it does need to be more than just added checklists. So you have things like artificially creating active users with daily login rewards and time gating. That doesn't count. That's not content. Now, I will say I'm actually okay with login rewards, and I've said this before. I'm okay with it as long as it's in addition to actual meaty content. Not a fan of time gating really in any capacity, though. It's been a real problem, and Josh can attest to this. It's been a real problem in WoW, probably since Warlords, where they just time gate so much content, and you want to keep playing the game, but they're time gating it so that they can get those monthly active users. Now, I do really appreciate Halo Infinite's Battle Pass model, which Mike alluded to. It allows you to purchase a Battle Pass. You keep it forever. You can always come back to it. I hope that other games, similar games, adopt this model, especially Battle Royales. I do hope that with Halo Infinite that they increase XP gain, which is something they're working on, and apparently earlier today is something that they've already started to implement a little bit. Since these games are free, I'm okay with them monetizing the in-game store. They have to make money, obviously, but there's no reason that they can't be consumer-friendly. And we don't need loot boxes that are essentially gambling like we've seen in Overwatch in the past, especially Overwatch having a box cost. Even though I do play AFK Arena every day, I haven't spent money on it in like 2 years. And then my final point here, because I've kind of gone on this diatribe, I love MMOs, and MMOs were sort of the original live service games. And when this trend is done well, it really helps recreate the feeling of playing MMOs back in the day for me. So I'm honestly happy that this is becoming a thing. And I do think at the end of the day, the cream is going to rise to the top. And the bad ones, the bad live service games, are eventually going to fail. They'll stop being copied by other devs. So we're not going to get copycats of bad games that people stop playing that are just money grabs. They're going to exist, but they won't be mainstream. They won't be the big titles. And I think it's generally, it's still a relatively new way to play games. And so the monetization models are still being figured out. We can see that with Halo Infinite. They're sort of revolutionizing the battle pass while also still needing to figure it out, work out the kinks on their own. So all that to say, I think live service games are here to stay. I'm glad that they are. And I think there's still a lot more advances that we'll see in the near future. I think that this is a quickly evolving, I don't want to say genre, but like type of game. I guess payment model is really what it is. But yeah, let me throw it to the other guys now, because I just probably talked for almost 10 minutes, which is insane. But Paul, let's hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely think they're here to stay. They make money. I think in a way, like you guys were both kind of talking about. Box price is they're not going to charge $100 up front, but chances are a lot of people will pay $100 over the lifetime of a game, even if they don't think of themselves as a whale. If you pay $10 for every Fortnite battle pass, it only takes 10 of them to equal way more than you would have paid box price for the game, and they would have sold it for. Now, that'll probably happen over a couple of years. Could they have made a second one? I think there's a lot of arguments to make, but I think whales more than make up for the fact that people play for free. I think free is a good model for sure. I think the other good thing for the companies is that it's a flexible monetization strategy, which is nice. If they want the game to make more money, they can kind of mess around. They can add some features. They have to be very, very careful about how they do it. But I think ultimately it can kind of help as opposed to, just worrying about units sold, right? I think first and foremost, the thing that makes a good live service game is a good game. Yeah. I think they need to have, I think it's like something that's super important is that it has to have a good primary gameplay loop. If that's not good, then there's no point. And I think that's the kind of stuff you look at when you look at Marvel's Avengers, or even, not that it's not somewhat satisfying, but even Destiny, Fallout 76, some of these things, the actual gameplay loop and what you're doing isn't good. It's not polished. In 76, the story and the way they're doing it, especially before Wastelanders, where it was just you were out in the middle of nowhere, that didn't really work for a lot of players. And same thing when you look at like Marvel's Avengers, people want a really satisfying Avengers game. The combat, the feeling of that game it isn't satisfying. And so I think ultimately, if that had been something satisfying that really grabbed me, I would have paid money for it. I would have bought it. I would have paid box price. I would have paid, I would have bought skins if the game felt good. I'm a sucker for that, but it didn't. So I didn't. I also think, obviously, monetization should be cosmetic only, is what I think. I'm not crazy about XP boosts. They can exist. It depends on the type of game. So if it's like battle pass boosts, I think that's fine, because that's someone's own private, journey to cosmetics. I think otherwise it's like mixed, I would say.
I'm just going to butt in here real quick. A lot of people really got on Assassin's Creed for having like essentially an XP boost. I actually think if you're going to have it, put it in a single player game where it doesn't really matter as much. In multiplayer, it can be considered pay to win or pay to advance, and
it's like paid cheat. It's like a paid cheat almost.
Yeah.
If you want to like use a cheat in your single player game and buy a Game Shark, back in the day, do it. Who cares?
As long as the progression in the game isn't balanced around that, then it's a problem. Yeah.
If they're making it, again, that's some of the problem is with some of these XP gain things, right? Is the balance in the game and the progressions, assuming you're going to buy XP gains. You see that a lot with like mobile games and a lot of like kind of more predatory free to play games. I won't go on for too much longer. Just going to say Battle Pass. This is the Halo thing. The Battle Pass should correctly hit the dopamine rush in your brain. So I think that's a big key. Battle Passes obviously don't, like a lot of people, I saw a lot of people online. There's a lot of debate and people were saying, oh, the Halo Battle Pass, who really cares? I'm from the old school and I only care if I win. It's like, oh, it doesn't feel fun to play because you don't get anything if you win or lose. And it's like, you won. That's what you get. Isn't that cool to win? And it's like, yeah, it is. I agree with that. But also, then don't have a battle pass. But if you have a battle pass or you have a ranking system, then I mean, it's 2021, but also it's just how you do these things, even if it weren't 2021. It has to give you that dopamine hit. The whole point of these is like that addicting feeling of, you know, one more thing, one more game. Oh, I've almost at the end of this bar. Oh, if I do this, you know, if I do some like crazy stuff, I'm gonna like, you know, level up. And I think that's really, really key. And that's the problem with the Halo one, is it's too slow. You know, I can start a new Fortnite season, barely even pay attention to the quests, maybe accidentally do one, and like in a couple games I'll be like level 7. Is that ridiculous? Yeah, maybe, but also they get progressively harder, so it takes time. But it you know, it builds you up right. And then also I was just going to say, I like not time gating stuff, not just like login rewards and stuff, but also, I mean, I'm just going to throw it again to Halo. I really like that the Battle Pass doesn't expire. I think stuff like that is cool. I think a lot of these games make a lot of money because you're waiting for something to come back around in the store. I mean, Fortnite did that forever. They're better with that now a little bit, in the sense like the store has more offerings than it used to have. But ultimately, yeah, often you're waiting for things on rotation. I don't think that makes the game bad or anything, but I think there's a mix between that and also having this massive catalog of stuff you can buy. I think that can be overwhelming, which I remember when I think when we looked at Warzone, that happened a lot, where there was like a ton of shit I could buy, and I was like, this is a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think somewhere in the middle of that is good too.
Josh, you're still awake after all that.
You know,
and we would love to hear your opinion on this as well. Obviously, I know that, you know, you're a big MMO guy, which, as we said, are sort of the progenitor to live service games. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
You know, I guess I'll just start with really what makes a good live service game versus a bad one. I've played a lot of them, namely, you know, shooter-wise, Destiny 2. And also Fallout 76. I even played Anthem, which you know, I'll get into that. You mentioned Destiny 2 being on the latter side of things. That's where I'd kind of disagree, because I think honestly what makes a good live service game, kind of to Paul's point, is the game. And I think Destiny 2 up to this point still has probably the best shooting mechanics of any FPS that's on the market today.
No, I agree.
At least for PvE.
Specifically, what I meant was the aggressive over monetization, which is a relatively new thing. They've recently gone in that direction.
Yeah, no, you are definitely right there, because it feels like in Destiny 2's case, where basically it feels like they really desperately want that subscription model with Destiny 2, but the way they're trying to grasp at it is by releasing these seasonal passes on top of these smaller chunk expansions, right, or these smaller little bitty patches that have been thought throughout. So yeah, I'll agree to that point for sure. Yeah. But other than that, I think it is a good game. And I think I'll say this, anytime I've logged on and bought a season pass on Destiny, it's felt relatively fair to me. The only thing I don't like about what Destiny 2 does, which I think does kind of teeter them into the bad category, is they're starting to vault and take away content, which I think is fine in some regards, but not in others. You know, in World of Warcraft's case, let's say, you know, when Cataclysm just, you know, destroyed and reshaped the world, while they took away content, they added so much in and basically recreated, and you still had the same zones, just slightly different. It was okay. But in Destiny's case, they're literally saying, hey, you paid for the Curse of Osiris back when Destiny 2 was originally old, you know, content, and now it's gone. You can't play it until maybe we bring it back. So I think that's a questionable decision, and really, to me, iffy. Fallout 76, the game's not even good, coming from me with Fallout. And also that, while to me the Battle Pass is honestly okay in Fallout 76, I've played it enough to think, okay, this is pretty fair. You know, it's not terrible. The only thing I really don't like about it is it doesn't respect your time and expects you to log in every single day. It's a Fallout game, bro. Respect my time a little more, and maybe give me weekly challenges that progress me a little more than a daily challenge. That's another thing that bothers me about Destiny, and another thing that's been bothering me about WoW. And it's a direction I hope live service games coming up kind of move away from. They need to respect people's time a little more, or respect people's grind throughout the week, more so than, hey, log on, kill 20 grunts, then you can, you know, come back tomorrow and do it all again. I feel like that has gotten away from people, and there's far too much FOMO going on as well.
Yeah.
As for good ones, I admit I've pretty much played all the ones that I've mentioned are bad because I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. But Halo, I think, is doing it right. It's fair. You know, I spent $10 on the battle pass with Halo, but I think the way they've done it up to this point is fair and reasonable. The challenges, while it is in beta and it just came out, were ridiculous initially. They're already taking steps to fix it, which is to me good. I'd rather my games be as a service at this point. I think that we're well past the whole physical disc and this is your single game you have now. Here you go. It is what it is. We're moving past it. I think a lot of these games, Anthem, for example, released prior to us getting into the peak of the games as a service being an actual model. And Anthem was just trying to do what Destiny did before it really came into its own and before they had anything to build off of. So I think we'll probably see, honestly, most games go this way. Not necessarily single player games, but if it's a multiplayer game, chances are we're going to just see it continue on. I wouldn't even be surprised if Call of Duty completely stops with the $60 releases and maybe just creates a formula with Modern Warfare and builds out from there and just completely moves away after how Vanguard's doing. So it'll be interesting to see, but we'll see.
Josh, can I interject just really quick? I just wanted to say you mentioned the Call of Duty going to a free to play maybe or something like that. With that, do you think that they would benefit from going the same route as Halo and doing a campaign being a separate actual box cost kind of thing, and then from there it would be a service thing?
Holy shit!
And if so, I think we can all kind of agree full price is a lot to pay for the Halo campaign only, not multiplayer, right? So does it behoove these games maybe to have campaigns still be a set cost, but maybe have that be a lower cost than the full box?
Yeah, I think Halo's campaign being $60 is laughable. The only reason I'm going to play it is because it's on Game Pass.
Same.
But yeah, you'd have to almost sell it for $30 in Call of Duty's case, or just entirely get rid of them. I can't tell you the last one I played. I think it was. I think I played halfway through Cold Wars, and I was just like, "Why am I playing this?"
They're diehards, though. There are people who love those stories. Yeah,
and most of the time they're simple, neat little 4-hour, 5-hour stories, and they get the job done. But they're nowhere near worth $60. Drop them for $30, and people will still buy them. Yeah. And to load your Call of Duty game with microtransactions and just let people unlock the baseline guns, and people will literally line up to buy fucking Thomas the Tank Engine, the skins for their guns. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Thomas the Josh Trank Engine.
Did I say Trank? Oh, excellent. Shout out to Druids.
So, Josh, I agree that Destiny 2 is good and it is satisfying. I actually do. I liked it a lot. And I don't normally like that kind of setting for a game. Yep. I just think that for a new player now, especially, the monetization was confusing and sort of overwhelming. ESO has the same problems. There's just there's too much. Yep. Not enough is packaged together. And I
feel myself really confused coming in when I played Guild Wars 2 recently. I picked that up. True. And as someone who didn't play, I picked it up once a year, once every 5 years, maybe. I've picked it up in the last whatever. I picked it up maybe 3 or 4 times, and then I usually, at this point, I get put off because there's a million expansions. Do I buy them? Do I need crowns? And then also they have that thing where you come back and now all of a sudden you're a loyal player, so they've given you a million boosts to the max level, and I'm like, I don't know who to boost and what I would be doing or where I'd go if I boosted. It's a little much.
Yeah, that's always confused me too. Is WoW does the same thing. New players get a boost right away. You really shouldn't be getting a top max level boost right when you're playing the game, because you don't know how to play the game yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think honestly that's what Final Fantasy does really well. For all its faults combat wise and everything else, it just says, hey, you're starting at the game. We're not going to throw the boost right in your face. Just level through the main scenario quest and just go. So I think that's fine. But Destiny, yeah, I remember Mike and I, when we were playing Destiny 2, probably about, back in September or so, it was me and Mike were discussing, and I had already bought all the expansions up to that point, but Mike was like, what the fuck do I buy?
Right.
It's do I buy Beyond Light? Do I buy this new one? Do I buy Shadowbringers? Who? They should just have a flat, I think the problem is a lot of these live service games continue to value their old products so much, when in reality, all it is content for people to go do for maybe 5 to 10 hours, be done with it, and pull away. It's not worth like $60 like some of these old expansions are.
It's like what you see World of Warcraft doing now, like where they only charge you for the most recent expansion, but otherwise they just the one before that is boxed in with the game. And I think
that's the way to do it.
That is easily the way to do it. Like, come on, you're going to make plenty of money off a new large story expansion. You don't need to keep charging for the old ones, and it's extremely confusing.
I think it's actually, it might be ESO, it might be a different game, so I could be wrong on this, but I think it's ESO where like you can actually run into a situation where you accidentally buy the same thing twice because some stuff is packaged, some stuff isn't, and yeah, it's just that's never a good thing. I wish they could make that stuff more clear. I think sometimes it's purposely made confusing, but I just think like it puts people off. Maybe it doesn't as much as we think it does. It certainly puts me off. If things were more clear, then I'd be much more likely to just buy some of it, especially if the game is free.
Yeah,
but anyway,
totally agree.
I think that was a good discussion, and it's probably something that will be revisited again at some point in the future of the show, because live service games, as we all believe, are not really going anywhere. They're only going to get more popular, and
they're the future.
They are the future, and hopefully it's a good future. I do hope that your narrative single player games and all that kind of stuff still stick around, and I think they will. I think there's always going to be a market for that.
For what it's worth, after seeing what I saw with Far Cry 6, I think the new Far Cry games as a service is going to be actual dog shit, and I have no faith that Assassin's Creed is going to be any better. And I think that's more of a product of Ubisoft.
We talked about it a little bit on Replay. My take on the Far Cry thing was that there's no reason for them to not at least just try something new at this point, because it is so stale. Yeah. And if it doesn't work, they can always just go back to the exact same formula. So
true enough. Yeah,
exactly.
But I also did say I really don't anticipate it being popular at all.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Name That Game. It's been a little while since we played Name That Game. In Name That Game, I give the panelists up to 10 clues. Clues start off more vague and progressively get more specific. The first panelist to guess correctly wins. You only get one guess. If you're wrong, you're out. We take game title suggestions from our $1 supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs, where you can message us your suggestion. Ready? Here we go. First clue. This game originally released on 2 consoles and PC. This game holds a score of 85 on Metacritic for its initial console releases. This game sold over 3 million units. This game's genre is RPG. A sequel to this game is in the works. This game was nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards 2019. A similarly named game came out in the same year, causing some confusion. Some view this title as a spiritual successor to a fan favorite title from a popular RPG franchise.
It's The Outer Worlds.
Ding, ding, ding. It is The Outer Worlds.
Nice. Really
good job,
nice.
Josh. Good job.
Answer.
That's the first time I won.
Yeah, good job.
Really good. They went right. It was right for you. It was perfect.
Yeah, pretty much.
The remaining clues, there were 2 more. The most recent release from the studio that developed this game is Grounded. And then the final clue, this new IP is now owned by Microsoft. Good job, Josh. I'm proud of you.
Very good.
I remember because The Outer Wilds confused the shit out of me. Before Outer Worlds came out on Game Pass, I kept seeing Outer Wilds, and I was just like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, I'm sure it's a fine game, but like, what is this shit?
Clearly a better game, by the way.
Which one?
Outer Wilds.
Okay. I guess it depends on what you want, because The Outer Wilds is not for everyone.
Don't spoil it, man.
I'm not going to spoil anything. Who here has played The Outer Worlds? I haven't yet. I kind of might at some point, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, I played it, and it's as wide as an ocean, as deep as a puddle.
Yeah. Yep. Great. Perfect. I would say the first area you're in is much deeper. But the problem is it's like they should, as I said before, they should have released, if they're going to release it like that, they should have just released it like as a small like demo of what they could do and not try to make it a massive full like Fallout game, but they only did the first part.
Yeah, they abandoned all depth of that game.
Yeah.
So how are we feeling about the sequel?
I think it'll be better. It's got to be. I mean, there was promise. You know, the first Planet is really good. Monarch is actually really good. But that's really it. The big major like spaceship, the ground, whatever it's called, Groundbreaker, I think it is.
Yeah,
is just there's not enough depth to it all. A lot of good world building, but not enough.
All right, let's take a quick break around the water cooler to discuss the games that we have been playing this week.
So I was just going to say, maybe we should have a quick round table where we all talk about Halo for a couple minutes. Since we're all going to mention Halo.
That's true.
Before we start like catching us up on all like telling Halo our own ways, we should just talk about Halo. Maybe. Yeah. Do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start it off. It's been super fun. It feels way more polished than I was expecting. I hadn't played a Halo really since Halo 3. I played a little bit of Reach multiplayer. I didn't play any campaign stuff really, or very little if I did. You know, I love the first 3 Halo games. It feels like I'm right back at home, honestly, with it. It doesn't feel any different than the old games. But in a good way. Like, it feels like there are improvements to what Halo used to be, but it still feels like Halo, and that's really what I wanted. I wanted that same Halo experience. I love that the characters just have like the outlines of the color for the team that they're on, where you're your customized character with your own like colors on your suit and stuff, but you have the outline which tells you the team, so you still have the customization in there. I love stuff like that that's just iterating on what is already a perfect kind of multiplayer shooter. So I've had a ton of fun with it.
Yeah, I would agree. It's been a damn blast. I am so glad it's good too. After Halo 5, and 4 wasn't bad, but it certainly moved away from the formula that is Halo. It's been such a warm like welcome. It iterated on the Halo formula, but it's done it so well. The gameplay is smooth. While there's naturally bugs, it's early release beta, yada yada yada.
Right.
It's just nice to have Halo back, and it feels like the first time Halo's had some hype around it, which is really encouraging.
In a while, right? Because Halo 3 was like super mega hyped. I remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mike, how's your experience been in Halo Infinite? I know you already talked about it a little bit, but give us some deets.
I mean, it's pretty much been the same. It's the first shooter that I've played by myself. Usually I don't play multiplayer games unless I'm playing with someone, but I've played pretty much every day by myself, at least a couple matches. Yeah, it feels good. It's Halo, which is something that I wouldn't have said with 343's previous entries. So it's got that going for it.
Yeah.
Make the commando do damage.
Please.
So is the multiplayer, has it changed how we're feeling about the campaign potentially at all? Like, are we feeling better? Are we feeling worse? Does it not matter really? I actually feel better about the campaign. I don't know if I've experienced this yet. I actually don't know. I don't think I have, but playing against bots. But apparently the bot AI is really good. I haven't seen it myself yet, but if that's the case, then I think that's really good news for the campaign. Paul, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say I read the same kind of stuff about the bot AI. I'm interested in trying that myself at some point. A lot of people saying they were pretty fooled, if they didn't know better. But yeah, I think in terms of campaign and multiplayer, I mean, I'll just really quickly echo. Yeah, I also thought it was awesome. But I was already kind of feeling a little bit of hype, to be honest, from the last trailer we got for campaign. Yep. Just the creativity and the open world aspects. And I mean, obviously go to this place and clear it out is very like the stuff that not everyone loves about open world. But I think being able to do that creatively and having that in a Halo game and these huge maps is pretty interesting. And that interested me. But I will say, after playing multiplayer, which I'm liking a lot, I haven't felt that like the creativity is there, like in the way that it's going to be in the campaign. Some of the stuff they're showing with the campaign, with the size of everything, more focus on like the grappling hook being like a very clear part, and some more powers and some more open terrains. obviously and less people around, so you can spend a little more time goofing around and trying to figure out these little strategies. I think this did not like get me more excited for the campaign, just because the creativity isn't there as much in multiplayer as I think it's going to be, and that's the big thing I'm excited for in the campaign. But I'm still excited for that in the campaign. I don't think I haven't. It's not like I just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not there. You know.
That's a really good point. The multiplayer sort of just is Halo multiplayer, and you're right. The campaign does have to bring a little bit something different. It has to have a different feel to it.
And they've showed that, but I haven't had it yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mike, what else have you played this week?
I finished Unpacking, which is a fantastic game.
Oh, did you move?
No. It's a great little indie game. I think everyone should play it if you like stories or just want to vibe out. Honestly, you should just play it. Everyone should just play it.
Now I'm planning to.
There's no contingency.
But how heavy is the puzzle stuff? Like, it's a puzzle game, I know that, but like, is it like more story heavy than it is like difficult puzzles?
I got I don't know. I got to like where you started doing adult stuff and living with roommates, and I personally, this is just me, found myself getting a little annoyed at some of the like the fastidious nature of the puzzles. But that's just like, I don't think it was actually like bad or anything. I just like, I don't know, maybe I'm a sucker, but I would have liked like a little bit of like, this is bad, but I would have liked like a little voice line here or there sometimes. I it's cool unpacking and understanding, just from the context of the contents of the boxes and stuff. But sometimes I have to like put something on a table and know they really wanted it on that shelf. It's not bad. Like the game is good, but from my perspective, I got bored. That's all I'm saying.
I didn't feel like it was a puzzle game. So
well, you know what, Mike?
Matt, you've moved.
We can't
before,
all be
right?
Sudoku experts.
No. but Matt, like you've moved before, right?
Too many fucking times, yes.
Right, exactly. So you know how to unpack a box and put your things out.
This
right?
This is true. I know how to do that. Yeah.
Then you should be able to do unpacking the game.
Okay.
I think there is a little bit of difficulty curve for the 4 people in this podcast because the main character is a girl and they have girl items that I didn't recognize. Like I had to be told that one of them was a hot water bottle.
Oh.
I was like, I don't know what this is. And then they're like, put it under the bed. I'm like, okay.
I don't want to like levy too hard a judgment here on this, but I think also being the only one not in like a very long relationship, I think also would like I think we might guess a few more things potentially. No, I don't know.
I think I guess enough things because I have 2 sisters.
That works too.
I can see where there might be difficulty in identifying what certain things are. I know there was an article about how younger generation didn't recognize what the GameCube was and didn't know where to put it and kept putting it in the kitchen.
I saw something like
that. It's a panini press, right?
It looks like a toaster or something. Yeah.
Is it a George Foreman grill?
So I mean, like there is a George Foreman grill.
Oh.
Yeah, there is. But like I didn't find it that challenging. I found it. I'll agree with Paul. The last level got a little tedious because it's really big. I found myself kind of rushing because I just wanted to see what the ending was, and I didn't put too much care in where I was putting things. Whereas when I had like, you start off moving into your like 12-year-old bedroom, like you're 12 years old and you're moving into your bedroom for the first time. It's finally your own room. Like you don't have many boxes, you don't have many things. I found like I was more careful where I was putting things. I put things purposefully, and I still did that up until the second to last level. And that's kind of because the main character changes, and I'm not going to say much else, but you change who you're packing, and then the last level happens. And I felt less connected to that person's belongings. So I was kind of just hucking them everywhere just to get through the level. I found it fun that as you progress through the game, your packing skills got better. I thought that was hilarious that you start off packing for college, and for some reason you've got dishware in the bathroom box
Yeah.
and toilet paper in like your closet box, and just things that make no sense. And then you eventually get better, and then you get worse, and then you get better. And it's like, it's fun. But yeah, it's a cute little game. I really like that idea of telling a story without feeling like you're telling a story. I felt very connected to the person that I was moving stuff around. Yeah, I would just recommend it. Like, I had a great time with it.
You know, I think the reason why I thought it was really puzzly is because I was thinking of it. I was thinking that you're packing, but I guess the name of the game is unpacking. So what you're doing is unpacking. So you're putting stuff.
Yeah.
You're taking stuff out of the boxes and putting it in places. I was, for some reason, thinking that you're putting stuff in boxes, which would be more of a puzzle game, probably. So, okay, yeah, that makes some sense.
You have limited space, but, like, it never became an issue except on the last level. I didn't know where to put the rolling pin, and on the counter was not an option.
Yes.
So I was like, I don't know where I'm throwing this. But yeah, there's some other, like, there's some cultural stuff that I didn't recognize. But outside of that, like, I played it on stream. Chat told me what they were. I was like, oh, okay.
All right.
And we moved on.
Where does it take place?
Don't know.
Oh. Okay.
Huh.
It doesn't tell you.
Okay, interesting. You play anything else, or was it mostly just unpacking and Halo?
No, I've been playing Halo, obviously. I've been playing Demon Souls, which has been
the remake.
It's really easy. Yeah.
All right.
It's really, really easy. I'm kind of disappointed by how easy it is. No, don't shake your head. Like, I've walked into boss fights not knowing what the hell it is, and I've one-shot it. I'm like, why?
Well, from what I've heard, like you can pretty much cheese the whole thing with like a magic build too. That's like a big part of it, right?
I'm not doing a magic build. I'm doing a dex build.
Gotcha.
But even still, like, I know nothing about the game outside of like a few stills, and that's about it. I didn't watch any streaming of it. I ran into the first boss. I was like, oh, I'll use fire because it's the same thing as the enemies that I was fighting. I ran into the next boss. I was like, oh, I'll hack at its ankles because that's the only thing I can reach, and they're highlighted. And then I ran into the last boss I did. I had no idea what the hell was even really going on, but I still one-shot. I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm not trying to like flex here. I just think the game is easy.
Well, I think that's probably a product of you having played a lot of the Dark Souls games and Bloodborne and stuff like that. And then, like, yeah, it's a remake, but Demon Souls still is the first of like Souls games, as you know how we know them now. So I guess that it makes sense that it's the more basic version of that.
Yeah, I've died more. I've only died outside of boss fights, but I've died more in like random mobs that I don't know what their attacks are. And my favorite thing is there's mind flares on one of the levels, which I wasn't expecting, and apparently they stun and then one shot you. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So like, I don't know. The bosses don't seem like the threat in that game. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm only 3 bosses in, or no, I'm 4 bosses in. But like, it's fun. I enjoy it. It's very pretty. It's very well done. It's just, I would say probably the easiest Souls-like from Software. So that's all. And then I got inspired by Southern Fried Groofs, and I started playing For the King.
Nice.
Hey.
Speaking of being pretty and well done, Paul, what did you play this week?
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for throwing to me. You know, I just want to piggyback a little on what Mike said there and just mention that Toilet Paper in the Closet Box is actually the name of my memoir. It's coming out on Monday. You can get it at any Kohl's location. Just Kohl's. Amazon said no.
Can I use my Kohl's cash?
Yeah, you can. Absolutely no. Sorry, only real cash, paper money. The rest of it's all a conspiracy, I tell you. All right. Today I played this week I played Halo, of course. Had a good time. I'm kind of trash, which kind of bummed me out when I was playing solo at first, just because I hadn't played in so long. Although I did get into the pistol groove a little bit, which is also not the name of a book I'm coming out with. It was just something I got into, and it was a lot of fun using the pistol again and getting into that. Felt pretty powerful. I will say I had a lot of fun playing with you dudes. That made it a lot more fun for me actually to get into it. And then after doing that, I felt a little more comfortable. I still haven't really gone in and played solo a lot, but it did make me feel more comfortable that if I did, I'd have a better time. I think it was very clear, like big team, like you guys made a good point. Big team battle is really like the most fun kind of way to play right now. And I definitely had a lot more fun playing that than Slayer, or just like a regular like 4v4 where it became much more apparent that I was bad because we were losing because of specifically me. Whereas in BTB you can get away with a lot more, especially when you're kind of relearning how to play. So that was fun. I definitely will put more time in at some point. But yeah, that's cool to see. I'm playing more Hades. I've actually been playing a lot of Hades the last couple of days. I've just been kind of sitting and putting 3 or 4 hours into it. Still getting farther, having some fun, pushing some romance. And yeah, it's been a fun time with that.
Who are you romancing?
I'm romancing Meg.
Gotta do it
for now. Maybe we'll change it up maybe, but that's what I'm doing right now. Having a good time so far. Yeah, that's good. It does not stop. There's just more game. Every time I think I'm gonna get to a point, there's just more game. I think there's much more to go. All right, so that's cool. And also, yeah, I've been still inspired by the Riot train here. And nothing new. I haven't played Ruined King. I haven't played Hextech Mayhem, but I have played a lot more Teamfight Tactics. I just really love Teamfight Tactics. I don't know. I've been watching like really, really long YouTube videos going through like just stupid stuff, like someone who like watched all of iCarly and did like a 5-hour doc about going through every episode. Weird shit. I've never seen iCarly, so that makes it even better. So that's good. Shout out to Quentin Reviews on YouTube. Been watching those kind of things, and then in the other panel I'll have Teamfight Tactics going, and yeah, just fighting it out. And I've won a few more times recently, so I've got I think I've just found a really cheese build right now that's in the current setup that if you pick this, I often win or at least come second. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I played a little bit of League as well. I'm trying to get into I got they give away the champion. Right now they're giving away the champions from like Arcane. So I got Jason
nice.
and their Arcane skins for free. Just for like winning a game, which was pretty cool. And I think there's gonna be more of those coming out. I think also Jinx and Caitlyn. So yeah,
Sweet.
So pretty cool. I'm having a good time. I'm pretty hyped for Saturday for the last 3 episodes of Arcane. We will have the full 9-episode run then, and gonna be pretty exciting.
Josh, speaking of free skin, what did you play this week?
Well, of course, I played Halo, which has been a blast. It's been good. I'm not gonna go too far into it, but it feels like Halo. I'd love it. I'm gonna play it religiously and burn a lot of time in it. Rip my streaming career. Anyways, Battlefield 2042, and no nice words. Fuck that game. It's trash. It's bad. It's not good. It has taken the Battlefield name and bastardized it. It is the toilet. It is the brown standard of Battlefield games. It is so fucking bad. Okay, there's Battlefield moments, but that's not hard to get. Like, to me, the whole Battlefield moments coin term thing is just overdone at this point, because yeah, no shit, you're going to get that when there's 64 people on each team and you just have all this crazy shit going on, which is fine, fair, great. It doesn't hold the game up. There's too much lacking. All of the creativeness that came with Battlefield 4, hell, 1 and 5, which I didn't even like, aren't even there anymore. It's like they stripped away the soul of Battlefield, and EA just put everything bad that they could in it. I get that they probably had good intentions with this, but it's just failed on every level for me. I have the EA Play Pass. I have, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, yada yada. So if I ever want to go back and try it again, I can. But at this point, I'm done. I literally, words don't express how fucking disappointed I am. I used to play Battlefield Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, like religiously. I loved those games. And Battlefield 1 and 5, I weren't crazy just because of the settings, but they were still decent Battlefield games. And then this comes out, and there's just something about the way it feels, something about the way it plays that feels like they just tweaked something a little wrong, and it just does not feel good. It's also buggy as shit. That said, it's really just been Battlefield 2042 and Halo. Played a little more Dark Souls 3. Again, that's been kind of fun. Just kind of chilled out with Fave, actually, and just ran through some bosses. Not really took it too seriously. Done some invading, done some chilling out. Just taking it easy, really. So it's been actually a pretty good, productive gaming week. Discovered, had my heart broken by Battlefield, but then rekindled my love with Halo, and taking it easy with the old wife, Dark Souls. So it's not a bad week of gaming.
Very nice. I also played Battlefield. I was also disappointed by Battlefield. So, since I unsubbed from Game Pass last month with my Xbox app being broken, which, by the way, it is fixed now. I don't know how, it just fixed itself.
Hooray!
But because of that, I was able to sub to Game Pass Ultimate for just $1. They're like, resub, it's just going to cost you $1. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I did it. And I was able to play Battlefield early. And like Josh, I was hyped, obviously, last week or 2 weeks ago with the Cash or Trash. I also cashed it, picked it over Halo Infinite. It's just massively disappointing. Textures were awful. I was playing on high graphics, and the textures were terrible and blurry. Friendly player models didn't always load, so they'd just be floating guns. Later on, my gun didn't load, so I just had empty hands. So it was weird. It was me running around with just empty hands out like this, and my team of just floating guns. It made me want to play COD, but then we had the surprise Halo Infinite multiplayer launch, and so I played that instead, and I'm having a blast with it. I also played the Lord of the Rings Online a little bit, and it pains me to say, it's really not good. It's not good.
I forgot, Matt, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to jump in, but I also played Lord of the Rings Online because we both talked about it last week. And yeah, I just want to quickly say, yeah, it's not. It's really bad.
So if I had nostalgia for it, then maybe. But it just made me want to play WoW Classic instead, especially with Season of Mastery starting. And like, character movement is really floaty, and I remember that was my problem back when the game first launched too, because it didn't feel like WoW. Like, the character movement is floaty, jumping is so insanely high, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why your character jumps that high. It's so weird and off-putting. The UI and icons just look terrible. It's just so it's all outdated and such a product of its time and hasn't held up at all. Whereas I would argue that WoW has. Now, the fact that WoW still exists has something to do with that. So it doesn't really feel as outdated because it's still there. But Lord of the Rings Online, like, some of the older MMOs, like, aspects of them do hold up. Lord of the Rings Online, it just doesn't. And it was disappointing. I also actually played a little bit of retail WoW as we're talking about that now. I basically autopiloted through some of the main story quests that I had backlogged from just not playing over the last few months. I just did that while watching YouTube videos on the other monitor. Didn't pay attention to the story. Skipped every single cutscene. Just autopiloted through the quest. Checked off numbers on a list, and that's all I did. And it's fine. That's enjoying. I enjoy that sometimes. So it is what it is. I like to play MMOs like that sometimes with just something else on the other screen. And so that's all I needed at the time. I got my little taste of retail WoW for a little bit, and not sure when I'm going back in, but I am interested in playing some classic WoW. But that's it for me. But we were talking about Battlefield, and so this next segment, we're going to start off talking about Battlefield a little bit more. Every week, we address 2 or 3 audience questions, comments, or concerns. We take questions from our supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. You can leave your questions in the comment section of the previous episodes. Post a $1 tier. We'll get you access to those submissions. But we also take submissions at gamegroofs@gmail.com and in the YouTube comments, so you can submit them there as well. This first question comes from Baseball Jim. He's making a return appearance.
He's back, baby.
Now here's the question. After taking a few years off and a shaky launch for Battlefield 2042, where does the Battlefield franchise go from here? Josh, as the resident Battlefield expert and heartbroken man, where does Battlefield go?
I wish I had a good answer for it, but I just don't. Because I just honestly think it's not made for me anymore. I think is what it really is boiling down to. I think these giant, large-scale battles, the long, elongated games, the really everything about it, the time-gated weapons that are really big in this Battlefield, just aren't doing it for me anymore. I think, I guess, to sum it up for me and to bring it home, what would bring me back to Battlefield after this one has just kind of shunned me at this point? I would honestly downsize the scale a little bit. I think they got too big in this one. The maps are way too huge. You know, Battlefield 3 and 4, you had big maps, but they were of a reasonable scale that you could have these self-contained areas, that you'd have these firefights and these points people would fight over. Whereas now the areas are so big, people just move from point to point in a big group, and there's no real decent firefights. It's just groups of people swarming over one area and then going to the next area and swarming over another area until one team wins. At least that's what it felt like to me. And it's just, there's no tacticality to that. You're swarming over people and moving on to the next point. Where I think they just have to downsize. I think they got to take a step back, reevaluate. Hopefully the game is struggling right now. I hate to say that, but hopefully it's struggling as far as player base goes, which it probably isn't, but hopefully it is. And maybe that's going to light a fire under their ass to really kick this thing off and get moving in the right direction again. Even though I wasn't a big fan of the setting of Battlefield 1 and 5, I still played it every now and again, and it still felt, scale-wise, like it fit well. And it felt like they wanted to go so epic with this game and so over the top that they just kind of missed the mark. And also the gameplay just doesn't feel quite right, but you know, I can't really speak to that too much. It was really more of a feel thing for me. I really desperately hope they get back on track, because I don't want to just write it off and leave it in the dust. It disappointed me because I was so excited for it.
I agree that it just felt off. And I think that potentially, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if this game doesn't do well, I think potentially where the franchise is going is back out behind the shed. Because I don't know if EA wants to stick with something that they took time off to try to get it right and didn't get it right. So maybe they just start focusing on Battlefront or some other thing. I don't know. But I think what they could do, take time off again, go back to the drawing board. I think maybe you have to reimagine the entire franchise. And this is going to sound crazy, but I'm thinking like Battlefield Hardline, but you go even deeper in a different direction. Like, you just have to do something totally different. You can't just straight up compete with these other good shooters that are out now that are just better. Like, you can't, if you're going to do the same thing over and over again, you can't compete like that. So you have to do something totally different. Maybe like become like a game like Payday or something. Like, just be a different kind of shooter, or like Rainbow Six Siege, something that's a little bit different. Paul, what do you think about this franchise?
I'll keep it short and sweet. I haven't played a Battlefield really since, like, I don't know. It's been a long time. 3 or 4, one of the early Bad Company games. I'd say my most experience playing Battlefield was with you when we were little children playing Battlefield 2 on the demo.
We played the shit out of the Battlefield 2
We played
demo.
so much time playing the Battlefield 2 demo with our other buddy. Just, we'd spend hours and hours every weekend. It made no sense. But yeah, that just from everything I'm hearing, I think you guys have it totally right. I think they need to take a break after this and evaluate, you know, what makes Battlefield special, but also how can we stay true to what we've done so far. It's kind of a lot of vague marketing answers, but yeah, ultimately I think they just need to take some time and get it right, because I don't think people are going to take another lukewarm Battlefield. I don't think it's going to survive with its identity intact if it comes out like this again.
Mike, what about you?
Going to the smallest fan last. Perfect. I was going to agree with you. Where does it go from here? The garbage. Like What? Let's look at DICE, right? When's the last time they released a game that was actually good? 2013, maybe. It's getting close to a decade, right? They had
Was that
Battlefront?
2013?
Yeah, that was Battlefield 4. They had Battlefront. They had Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Fun.
Paul, I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that. So they had Battlefront, which was a travesty. Battlefront 2, which was a bigger travesty.
Yeah.
They have Battlefield 1 and 5, which I didn't play either of, and I don't know that they were well received. Probably better received than 2042, but it wasn't Battlefield 4, so it wasn't like... I feel like Battlefield 4 and Bad Company 2 were the peak of the Battlefield franchise, and they have not come close to that since. So it's going on a decade. DICE, get your shit together, or you're going to go the same route as all the other EA acquisitions. Go look at the flowers, because you're about to get shot in the head.
Oh my god.
It's time for DICE to take a chance and roll the dice on something. But all right.
Oh, yeah. Snake Eyes.
Let's get a Shrek sequel. They apparently made Shrek and Shrek Extra Large.
Shrek Extra Large.
So whenever those came out, that was the last really good game they made. I think.
2002.
Yeah.
Incredible games. They were still using Frostbite.
Land Before Time, Big Water Adventure, 2002.
Hey.
Game of the Year, 2002. All right, let's move on. This question comes from Mario. Just Mario. What are some of the best video game characters of all time? I'll go first, just to get mine out of the way while these guys think a little bit more, even though they're supposed to be prepared before the episode. But
I don't have to think.
All right, well, I'm gonna go first anyway. All right. I think that Master Chief honestly has to be up there. I do think that, and obviously this is top of mind because of Halo Infinite, but I do think that Master Chief is one of those all-time great video game characters. I really like Lara Croft as an iconic character. Crash Bandicoot comes to mind. And Mario and Link, those are easy options. The namesake of the question. Mario obviously has to come to mind. Didn't even really want to mention it, but obviously you have to in a question like this. Josh, what about you?
Oh, fuck. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and probably just use two from the same franchise. I'm going to give one to my boy, Garrus Vakarian. I fucking love Garrus. He's always there throughout all the games, and his character improves out of, over the course of 3 games. And it's fun to watch his growth, even though as Femshep, he opens up to you a little more, even as one of just the boys. He still opens up to you, and, it's like having a literal just bro on your ship, like best friends, and it's really fucking cool. And then I got to give a shout out to my boy Jacob in Mass Effect 2. Really great character, fantastic, really well written. No, he's actual dog shit. Actually, I'd probably give it to Jack in Mass Effect 2, particularly if you take her to the good side and you move her away from going down this like hole of degeneracy. It's a really satisfying conclusion, especially leading up to Mass Effect 3 and seeing her leading her own band of soldiers and making them these strong biotics. It's just super cool. And I know I just used one franchise, but it's a franchise chock full of good fucking characters. Yeah. It's a shame Manshep is boring as a fucking bag of rocks. Yeah. But he's good enough.
Speaking of holes of degeneracy, Mike, what are your picks?
I was gonna make that same gag.
I have one pick, and I've already made it on the show before, so this doesn't come as a surprise.
No, I'm cutting it right
Sonic.
Here. No,
it's 100% Sonic.
No,
he has single-handedly carried Sega. What other? He has to be the best video game character of all time. Like, he has failing products and still carries Sega. It's Sonic.
Paul, please don't say the same answer.
No, well, listen, Mike took it, so we can't repeat answers here. I don't have any good. You know what? I'm just gonna pick characters I like. I couldn't think of the most important. I'm sure I could sit here and pick the most important characters, but you know what? Shout out to every character in Hades. They're all awesome, but I mean, especially Just your boy Zagreus is great. Also, I think huge shout out to Nick Valentine in Fallout 4. I just fucking love Nick Valentine being a goddamn noir detective synth. I constantly feel like I'm doing the Nick Valentine voice. I'm gonna stop before I try to do it. It's the Institute, see? But anyway, some days I have it when I remember what it sounds like more. It's down at that Institute. Anyway, that is fucking atrocious. And also, shout out to Pricefield, Max and Chloe from Life is Strange. Also, my favorite ship in games, and two of my fave characters.
Special shout out to the Far Cry 5 silent protagonist. No, I'm kidding. No, don't. He doesn't get a shout.
Yeah.
All right. It's not a good video game character at all. All right. I mean, not even really a character. It's just a blank slate. Okay.
Special shout out to Roach.
Oh yes, Roach.
I think that's not actually. Sorry, that's not actually a video game character.
Right.
Special shout out to Epona.
No. We really got to give a big shout out to Noonwraith. Mike's favorite character, The Witcher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on. We're moving on to a Bang, Marry, Kill video game edition. In BMK video game edition, each group is assigned another group prior to recording, and that group must then create a list of 3 games, franchises, developers, publishers, etc. for the assigned group. The list is presented live during the recording, and the other fellow group must decide which of the options they're going to bang, marry, or kill. Bang, you get 1 night with the choice. Marry, you must engage with this choice daily, which is a blessing, of course. Kill, you never get to engage with this choice ever, including future releases. This week's parameters were games on the go, and the groups could pretty much interpret this however they wanted, but of course, mobile comes to mind, handheld, Switch, Tamagotchi, whatever. So, this week, Paul and I are partnered up, and Mike and Josh are partnered up. Josh, let's have you go first. You're going to give your choices to Mike first, and he's going to have to choose which he bangs, marries, and kills.
This was actually very difficult for me, just because mobile I don't know very well, and games to go I also don't know very well.
I want to interject really quick to say that I feel like this is hard because games people play on the go are really personal, and and a lot of the times they're like shitty little games that I talk about, but not everyone tells you what game they really like to play on the go, and so it's hard to come up with good answers for all of that.
This is why I left it open-ended.
That's exactly why I went as generic as possible to some old bullshit mobile games. So, first, Candy Crush. Second, Angry Birds. Third, Temple Run.
Ooh, actually a great game, in my opinion.
This is easy. Easy.
It's always easy for you. Go on.
All right. So we're killing Candy Crush because fuck that game.
Oh, the best of the bunch. Are you fucking kidding me?
I love Candy Crush.
Screw Activision Blizzard, but also
terrible.
I love Candy Crush. I've never felt more like a soccer mom in my life.
Temple Run, I think I'm gonna bang. I'm gonna marry Angry Birds because I love myself a physics simulator. It's great.
Ooh.
Fair enough, yeah.
You could have got physical with the physics simulator by banging it, but you know what? You picked Angry Birds to marry.
Do you not get physical while
No,
married?
I understand. I knew that was going to be the response. I knew that was going to be the. But
Mike's a fan of eggs. So
the point of the question.
Eggs in the morning.
Okay.
No, we got to start making boomer jokes about how much we all hate our wives.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Perfect.
All right, Paul, you're up.
Oh, fuck off. Okay, so here's this. As I already intonated, I don't have a great set for this because I know obviously something about what Matt does in his free time, but while Matt's pooping, I don't really know what he's doing, and I know you have a Switch, but you also don't play it a lot on the go, I'm pretty sure. So this was tough for me. So I'm pretty sure I gave you like the order, like they're so clear as to what they should be. I have Pokemon, just Pokemon.
Okay.
I have AFK Arena, of course, because that I know is your shit.
Yeah.
And also,
I knew you'd give me that one.
Of course, because it's the yeah. And then also, I have. Do you remember those old Digimon Digivices?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those.
Okay. I had all of
those
those.
are fun.
I
know you did, and I did too.
All right, so this is interesting because I feel like with the nature of this game, you pick some for the short term, some for the long haul. And with mobile games, a lot of them are long haul type things.
I mean, I would say you're more married to AFK Arena than you are your wife, potentially.
Oh, well.
Except you haven't consummated with AFK Arena as far as I know.
I've been married to AFK Arena longer, I think.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, yeah.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. You said AFK Arena, the Digimon Tamagotchi Digivices, and what was the other one?
And Pokemon.
And Pokemon. Okay, so I'm going to kill AFK Arena.
Damn.
Whoa.
Oh, loyal girl is dead.
Because you just wish you had the balls to do it.
But here's the thing.
Wish you had the courage to do it.
They're all sort of like potentially long haul type games that you could play forever. So I'm going to get rid of the worst one out of those.
Wow.
I'm going to have a fantastic evening. Even if it's just one time, I'm going to have a fantastic evening with this is tough. Okay, so here's the thing.
Oh boy.
I much prefer overall as a property, I much prefer Digimon to Pokemon. I'm a massive fan of Digimon.
I know.
But as far as games go, the Pokemon games are obviously better than the Digimon Tamagotchis. So I'm gonna bang a Digimon Tamagotchi.
Whoa! Hell yeah, brother!
And I'm gonna marry
you for Christmas.
And I'm gonna marry the Pokemon franchise. That's how we're doing it. That's my pick.
Wow. I'm glad. Thanks for making a meal out of that. I was really worried that was going to be too obvious, but honestly, I knew you liked those Digivices, so I thought that might work.
That
was tough.
All right, Mike, your turn.
So, Josh, I know you have a Switch, so I found 3 Switch games.
Jesus.
They're all very similar.
Oh, God.
They're all basically the same, but with a little bit of variation, a little bit.
Some Pokemon bullshit, ain't it? All right, let's hear it.
All right, so I'm gonna read you what I wrote up. So the first one, the tagline is "Help Dakota Jane solve some brain twisters." For our fans in the in listening in, you're right. It is Grandmaster Sudoku.
Those are the mysteries.
The second one. Now this one is the most like creative one. It has 3 game modes, okay? It's called Sudoku Universe. It's got Sudoku Universe, Sudoku Jigsaw, and Sudoku Killer.
Wow.
Now those sound like good game modes.
M-rated Sudoku.
And then finally, we've got the last one, which is the weirdest one. Word Sudoku. It gives you a 9-letter word instead of the numbers 1 through 9.
Oh my good fucking! I'm about to commit.
That wince in real life.
I'm about to commit triple fucking homicide. So I'm gonna have to. So right out the gate, I'm marrying the words one because fuck numbers.
You're gonna have to do that.
Now, at the very least, what was the third one called? How many features were there? There were different themes, right?
There was a Sudoku Universe with 3 game modes, and then there's Grandmaster Sudoku, where you help Dakota Jane.
Okay. Well, as fine as Dakota Jane sounds,
she's in that one, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, she's getting a rebar club to the back of the head. Into the grave she goes. See ya, Sudoku bitch. And then the middle one. Look, it's 3. It's 3 game modes, which implies a potential, I guess, foursome if you count me involved. So we're gonna bang those 3 Sudokus and never touch it again. Also, Mike, fuck you.
Wow, interesting. Mike, you're an evil man.
Fuck Sudoku. It's so bad.
All right, Paul, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You ready to suffer here?
Oh yeah, always. Am I suffering? Okay.
All right. I think we all know where this is going. Paul, our biggest mobile gamer here in the panel.
Yeah, for sure.
Paul, I need you to pick between Peggle, a bubble shooter, and Balls with a Z.
Ooh.
That's a tough one.
That's tough. Yeah, we got like a classic brick breaker. We have Peggle, and we have. Okay, so I'm gonna go right off the bat. I'm gonna marry Bubble Shooter. I'll never stop loving that game. I can't. The other thing I did while I played Teamfight Tactics, the other thing I did instead of Teamfight Tactics was play Bubble Shooter while I watched my 5-hour iCarly videos. So you need Bubble Shooter. I can't. It's like I can't focus on something unless I have Bubble Shooter happening with my eyes if I'm listening to something, because I don't need to watch that particularly. And yeah, I really needed to focus on this video, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, the point is, that's a marry for me. I think if I had to spend one night with one of these games, it would be well, here's the thing. I think it would be Peggle. I'll be perfectly honest. Peggle has a colorful cast of characters. I can enjoy all of them during the course of that night. Also, I just like it. It's kind of it's kind of a story game. Like, it's not a story, but you go through different interesting stages and stuff. Whereas I think Bubble Shooter and Balls are both kind of more of a an endless kind of game. And then I'm gonna kill Balls. Listen, I love Balls, but I was just recently gonna get quoted for a soundboard. Listen, I love Balls, but I was just telling Rachel the other night before we went to bed that I'm just getting sick of Balls. I did. This is not a. I did listen. I was like, listen, I know you enjoy playing Balls every night, but I'm just sick of it. So, listen, the general conceit of it is fun. But ultimately, I'm more into Bubble Shooter. I like the matching of the color aspect more. It takes some of what I love out of Bejeweled. Now, if Bejeweled had been here, this might have been a very different game. If Bejeweled was here instead of one of these,
that's what I forgot.
That might have been tough, because I just even gave it to you earlier when Mike was like, no Candy Crush. I'm like, you got to have a Bejeweled type game in there. So anyway,
so good.
Either way though, yeah, that's going to be it. Balls is great, but it doesn't stand the test of time.
Fun fact: the very first ever topic that was used in a test version of GG Replay recording was a story about Bejeweled.
True.
All right. Let's end the show with a special shout out. Each panelist is going to give a special shout out to any video game character of their choice and provide a quick reason why this lucky character is getting this attention. I'll go first. As always, I break my own rules a little bit. A special shout out to my squads in Battlefield 2042. I never thought I could befriend a trio of disembodied rifles, but it actually happened. Paul, your special shout out.
Yeah, honestly, I think we all know, like, around the time of like the 96, 97, 3D gaming became more of a thing, which was awesome. And we saw, the likes of some pretty major characters get ported over. I just want to say special shout out to my boy 3D Sonic. Going to show that, yeah, sure. You know what? Maybe his arms and legs are a little noodly, and you thought maybe they'd be a little bit different in the 2D version in the sprite. But I'll be honest, it works for me and it works for Amy Rose.
Okay, this Sonic can't come up every single time we do this segment.
It has to. It has to.
Josh, your shout out.
I gotta give a special shout out to my Splitgate account, because I will never log into it again now that Halo's out.
Your favorite video game character, your Splitgate account.
Yeah. When you open up Splitgate, there's a little guy who goes, "Hey, it's me, your account. I haven't played in a while."
It's like Clippy.
It's Halo. I know it's Halo. Yep.
Mike, your special shout out.
My special shout out is to Johnny Meatball for carrying the team when, you'll see in episode 3.
Make sure to check out Southern Fried Groofs, everyone.
Yeah.
Dude, it's good. It's good.
Episode 3 of SFG is very good. Go check it out. Check out the first 2 episodes and get ready for it.
It's a turning point, I think, really, for where I think 1 and 2 are great. 3 gets you hooked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I agree. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the Game Groofs podcast, the all-encompassing gaming podcast from the Goodnight Groofs. Now you can end the show and go watch Southern Fried Groofs. But if you really like the show, before you do that, we encourage you to check out the Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs, where you currently have 3 different tiers available. Any and all support is greatly appreciated and will go a long way in improving everything here at the Goodnight Groofs.
The value
and the $3 plus tier will get you access to this show, 2 days early. But a special shout out to all of our patrons currently supporting us in the $5 plus tier, Ishmael S. and Rachel S. A round of applause for those individuals, please. We also
Nelly Newt salute. Wait, sorry, what? What?
We also ask that you take a couple minutes, drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or leave a like and comment on the YouTube video. Everything helps us. Now make sure to check out goodnightgroofs.com for all of our content, where you'll find the blog, GG Replay, this podcast, game reviews, and Southern Fried Groofs. Guys, any last thoughts?
Everyone drive safe on your Thanksgiving travels.
That's just really
and trample
great.
safe on your Black Friday shopping experience.
Oh, it's just...
And there's like 100 Sonic games that have been released, so go play one.
Don't do that to yourself.
At least like 2 of them are good, okay?
All right, that'll do it for us here today, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. Take care, everyone, except Sonic.